Hey, today is vlog number 9. I took yesterday off primarily because of the fact that it just dawned on me like if I'm not feeling it today, then there's no need to push myself to do it. But that doesn't mean I have no intention to continue with the vlogs. It's just that I'm just doing it for my own amusement. So, if you find it interesting, thank you, but at the same time, I'm trying not to get too attached to any kind of results from it, I guess. Um, Today, what I wanted to talk about was buckaroo banzai and 1950s style rock and roll. It's kind of the nature of like optimism in music. Uh, and justifiably, that maturity does involve being jaded, but defeatism is just juvenile. And the nihilism of most modern music is really infuriating on an analytical, intellectual level. If it wasn't for the power of the music itself, I would have almost nothing to do with modern hard rock or metal. It is as simple as a simpler statement as it's okay to care about life and the results of it shouldn't be controversial. But that being said, I mean, 50s rock and roll was a very human form. I mean, I was listening to Chuck Berry all morning and Buddy Holly, and even though he's not 50s rock, he's really the heir of it as far as like continuing the tradition of that songwriting, Marshall Crenshaw. And I found that Buddy Holly is easily my favorite songwriter because my favorite song's Not Fade Away. More than Bob Dylan, more than anyone. I mean, Buddy Holly is just a high standard mark. But it has to do with an abundance of meaning that you can project onto it from the context of not fully being able to reduce it because of his death and because of his death and also his kind of like saints like like rock and roll sanctification, uh you know, the day the music died. I mean, the mythology around his death adds so much to the context of what he did that it's almost impossible to talk about it without talking about it. But most of that idealism died primarily because the drug use around the rock and roll culture. If you remove drug use from rock and roll, then you come to terms with the fact that there's a lot of naiveness in the culture around rock and roll music. I mean, it's all just rock and roll and it's basically party music, but celebratory it is. Heroin and all those other things are extremely detrimental to the music itself. The culture around rock and roll is really kind of ignorant as far as like I'm trying to think of a way to put it without being insulting to my favorite genre, the only music that means something to me. And it's hard because at the end of the day, the idealism that we potentially could have. I mean, rock and roll as a genre is extremely simple. it is basically drum music in 4/4 time with a context that's cultural, associated with the blues keys and all that. But I mean, even then, the 80s metal stuff brought in a huge amount of different kinds of genre to brought in a huge amount of like classical modes and things like that into the music, like Randy Rhoads and all that. So it gets to be kind of a complex thing because when you reduce, like when they talk about post rock as a genre, I find that funny because to me, post rock is a rock and roll genre. It's still so directly influenced by rock and roll that it is just a continuation of it. It's not substantively doing anything different than any of the other genres other than it's in a post rock and roll popularity world. So it's called post rock even though it is essentially rock and roll. It's kind of like how gent is considered a genre, but um, but by Meshuggah and all that stuff, you know. But like at the end of the day, it's really just extreme progressive metal. The genre names have kind of gotten kind of horrible as of late, but I don't know. I may have to do this one again, actually, because I'm going to watch it after I finish it. Because I've not actually talked much about buckaroo banzai. And buckaroo banzai is what's been on my mind. I'm looking at the book copy sitting on my floor over there of the novelization of the original movie. I've got the original copy and I've also got a reprint copy. And it's my favorite movie, and it's probably among, except for maybe Kill Bill, it's among the greatest, like, or Baron Munchausen. Like, there's a handful of movies I really, really love, and I've seen hundreds of times. But Buckaroo Banzai I watch probably once a week, every week, for literally, it's been like maybe 5-10 years. And I mean, the film is a partially successful novel or adaptation of its own novelization, which is not a bad thing. But the thing it captured and what was on my mind from the get-go this morning was how rock and roll, as seen in the Buckaroo Banzai, world, is what I'm trying to do, is trying to capture some of that energy of like optimism in the most nihilistic of times and project it into music and try to capture some of that original 1950s magic. I mean, it's one of those things where I do find it really, really, really fascinating that out of all the reviews I've gotten, there's been like, everyone's compared it to Husker Du or like Sonic Youth or something. But to me, what I'm doing is just rock and roll in a very punk way, but it's directly influenced by 1950s rock and roll. I mean, it's very conscious. I consider 1950s rock and roll and the culture around the optimism of that music to be central to what I do. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know why that's not coming across. I mean, I do it with clean vocals, specifically on most songs. And I did that as the vocal style of singing is directly influenced by Buddy Holly, the hiccups, all that stuff. But like, I don't know. I mean, I just find that I wish I could capture some of the unadulterated joy of life that is in the music of the 1950s. Be it Bo Diddley, Buddy Holly, Chuck Berry, I mean, Richie Valens, you name it, there's so much good stuff. And also, as a recommendation, this is random, but there's an album called Rockabilly's Gravest Hits. Um, if you haven't heard it, there's quite a bit of good stuff on that. But on that note, I'll probably wrap it up. I'm going to watch this. I hope I can use it. But if not, peace and love. I'll see you guys in the next day or two.